OnePlus's next flagship, the OnePlus 12, is here. By now, you probably know all that there is to know about the OnePlus 12 because the specs are all out there. But you probably don't know how these specs translate to real-world performance, right? Well,
what as we here for?
This is it, our detailed review of the OnePlus 12, and I've added a performance and camera comparison against the iQOO 12 for better context. You knew I was going to do that. But if you didn't know I was going to do that, and if you don't know who I am, I'm Arshad, you're watching Trakin English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Okay, I have to put it out there, the OnePlus 12 has put on some weight. It's thicker and heavier than the OnePlus 11 and most other flagship phones now. However, there are reasons to the added weight, and I'll talk more about that when we come to the battery life. But the most important question is it uncomfortable to hold and use? Well, no, absolutely not. I feel that the weight distribution has been done really well and it feels comfortable in the hand. There's no problem per se. Now, the design of the phone hasn't changed much from the previous generation OnePlus phones. It looks very similar to the predecessor OnePlus 11. But this camera module has been made to look more premium. It resembles a luxury watch now, so that's very nice. What is also nice is this green color variant of the phone. There are patterns on this glass back which make it look like marble, and even the texture is a little bit like marble. It doesn't feel like glass. One thing I noticed in my time with the phone is that it is slightly slippery for my hands, so you'll have to use the case inside the box, but there is a case inside the box, which is a good thing. By the way, the frame is made of aluminum, the rear glass is made of Corning Gorilla Glass 5, and on the front you actually get Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection. Now there's also this pre-applied screen protector that you get out of the box, but it's of very bad quality, honestly, if you ask me. It's like a stopgap solution before you actually put a better quality screen protector because it doesn't go to the edges and it'll peel off easily. Now, OnePlus has also upgraded the IP rating. It's bumped up from IP64 on the 11 to IP65 on the 12. Minor change, but I think it allows OnePlus to add a new feature called Rain Touch. Essentially, even if you're using the phone in the rain, the touchscreen works, which is nice. But the upgrade that I'm really happy about is that no more USB 2.0. It's USB 3.2 now. Thank you, OnePlus. Now, I've been talking a lot about USB Gen 3.2, but how does it help in real life? Well, you'll have faster read-write speeds when you connect an SSD or any external drive to the phone. But most importantly, you will get USB out direct support for many streaming apps that you want to use, especially when you're gaming. Also, it goes without saying that the alert slider on the OnePlus 12 continues to be awesome. It's been moved to the left, but I still find it okay. Overall, despite becoming bigger, I feel that the design is nicely done and there are some good functional upgrades as well. So good job, OnePlus. Now, one of the reasons why the OnePlus 12 is larger is because it's got that 6.82-inch AMOLED display. This is of course a curved display in a time and age where curved displays are going extinct because even Samsung went with, a flat display on the S24 Ultra. So does it have a problem that most curved display phones have, which is basically ghost touches? Thankfully, in my time, I didn't notice any, which is a good thing. You also get a peak resolution of QHD+, which translates to a very high pixel density of 510 ppi. It's a lot of pixels on the screen. It's also an LTPO panel and the refresh rate ranges from 1 Hz to 120 Hz. And in the auto refresh mode, it did the switching properly, which is nice. It does go down as low as 1 Hz. But once we faced a bug where despite having the phone at auto refresh or high refresh rate, it wasn't running at 120 Hz, it was running at 60 Hz. I had to switch off the phone and switch it back on again, and it started working properly. It happened only once, so I'm not counting that as a bug. Now the display also has Pro XDR support. This is something that we saw for the first time on the OnePlus Open. Basically, if you have HDR content and if you open the Photos app, you can notice the difference in brightness between HDR content and SDR content. In fact, there's like a Pro XDR toggle which you press and then you can see the difference. Honestly, how many end users will actually care about this feature? I really don't know, but it's a tech flex for sure. Hashtag tech flex should become a thing. What do you think about it? One thing I really like about the display is the color accuracy of it, especially in the Pro mode. Both the DCI-P3 and sRGB color outputs are very, very well done. And while checking the same Faces 8K HDR video side by side next to the iQOO 12, I noticed that the highlights control was done much better on the OnePlus compared to iQOO. It's not like the iQOO is bad, and in fact, you cannot tell the difference in colors when you see it immediately, but OnePlus is slightly better. Now, OnePlus can also achieve that high peak brightness of 4500 nits. Note that this will only work in a very limited window, a 1% APL window, while watching HDR content. So what's the peak brightness of the display when all the pixels have been lit up? Well, that's 1600 nits in high brightness mode, which is still pretty bright. If you ask me, you take it outdoors, you will not face any sort of issue with visibility. Basically, the screen can get extremely bright Although, weirdly, I noticed that despite having support for Dolby Vision right out of the box, Netflix doesn't have support for it. Netflix does playback HDR videos, but there's no Dolby Vision written on the content itself. Now, moving on to the touch response rate, it is good. It is very good. I have no problems with it. And the optical in-display fingerprint scanner is also very, very fast to unlock the phone. But what's particularly impressive is the haptic feedback integration, and we all know about that already because Oppo's OHaptic has been fantastic for all this while now. And of course, it's tight, it's crisp, and it's very nice to use, especially when it's tuned really well with the UI as well. What I also like about the phone are the stereo speakers. They get rich, they get loud, and they do sound better than the iQOO 12. Take a listen for yourself and let me know what you guys think. Audio performance through wireless headphones and wired headphones was good. I tried my USB DAC with it. It worked well. It also supports all the Bluetooth codecs, LHDC and LDAC. So even if you're an audiophile, you will like this phone. Now let's talk about the performance. The OnePlus 12, of course, has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 system on chip. You've also got LPDDR5X RAM, UFS 4.0 storage. And the variants that you get are 12,256GB and 16,512GB. Now these are facts that you and I probably already know about, but what I found for you guys from our testing is that OnePlus has tuned the OnePlus 12 conservatively. So first things first, Antutu score is lower than the iQOO 12. Even the Geekbench score is lower than the iQOO 12. CPU stability score is also lower. Even the 3D Mark stability score is lower. So in all the benchmark tests that we ran, the iQOO 12 seems to be performing better. Although when we did a real world gaming test, when we played Genshin Impact for 30 minutes at the highest graphics and 60 frames per second, we actually got a very good performance on the OnePlus 12. Now we got an average FPS of over 59.5, and it's of course slightly better than the iQOO 12 because it maintained frame rates better. But I mean, it's a very little difference. But if you're playing games on Android, especially graphically intensive games like Genshin Impact, then obviously the OnePlus 12 does perform well. But in benchmarks, it doesn't. So in real world gaming and real world usage, the phone rarely throttles. In fact, the UI animations and everything have been tuned very well so that it feels very smooth and fast to use, which is generally what OnePlus claims, right? Plus the RAM management is good. OnePlus keeps apps running in the background long after you've exited it. Now let me tell you why OnePlus has tuned the performance this way. There is a reason for it. It's very clear. Even with the OnePlus 11 we noticed this, and with the OnePlus 12 now, OnePlus is clearly going for, very good battery performance. The OnePlus 12 is a battery champ. With its 5400 mAh battery, this is the best battery life that we've tested on not just a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 phone, but even a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 phone. I got a screen on time of over 8 hours even when I was heavily testing the phone, and if say I was using it moderately, then I would even get 9 hours of screen on time. So evidently the OnePlus 12's performance has been tuned for eking out the most battery life. But if you're a gamer, you can look past the battery life and probably pick the iQOO 12 because it also gives you 6 hours of screen on time. But most importantly, the iQOO 12 also has 120 watt fast charging support, where the OnePlus 12 has 100 watt. So it tops up faster as well. Anyway, the OnePlus 12's 100 watt charger will charge the phone from 0 to 100 in about 35 minutes. By the way, the OnePlus 12 also has wireless charging support now, and not just any wireless charging support, it's got super fast wireless charging support. So you have to buy the 50 watt charger separately, but it does support 50 watt charging, which is nice. Wireless charging, I mean. Now for the software experience, OnePlus 12 is running OxygenOS 14 based on Android 14, and there's no doubt in my mind that OxygenOS is a better experience than FunTouchOS. It's clean, it's minimal, with absolutely no unwanted bloatware apps being installed. Whatever apps are there, of course you can delete them, but sometimes you will even use it, for example Netflix. In fact, I made like a detailed video on it. If you haven't watched that yet, definitely go check it out, which is why I'm not going to go in detail for this video. So you get floating windows, split screen, app lock, all of the useful features that you would want from a phone, that's present. But one thing that's conspicuously absent from OxygenOS 14, in fact even ColorOS 14, is that lock screen magazine kind of setup that most phones have these days. For example, HyperOS does, and even iPhone does, of course. Now all that said, OnePlus also promises 4 years of software updates and 5 years of security updates on the OnePlus 12, so you will get support up till Android 18. Alright, let's finally talk about the cameras. I'm not getting into the details of the specs. You can see that on your screen right now, but let me quickly get to the pictures. Now, when I first checked these samples that are normally captured to check primary camera details, I had to do a double take to see if I hadn't mistakenly labeled the pictures wrong. You can tell for yourself that they look too identical at first glance, and even when you pixel peep, the details at the center are nearly identical. But when you move your eyes to the right, you will see that OnePlus is sharper than the iQOO for sure. Even when it comes to colors, the OnePlus 12 seems to be more accurate compared to iQOO. iQOO tends to be slightly more vivid. But OnePlus has a problem with white balance correction sometimes. In certain scenes that I noticed, especially in warm situations, it makes it too warm, which was not really the case. And the one area where iQOO beats the OnePlus is in HDR performance. The multi-stack processing is better where it pulls in more details from the shadows. Even in the second more complex scene, the iQOO 12 does better. As for the skin tones of people's, both the phones get it wrong. OnePlus has the red skin issue where iQOO is slightly yellow. But if you look at the details at close crop, OnePlus captures more of Arnav's facial texture. Now against the light, when the HDR fires, again iQOO takes the crown because of the better multi-stack processing. Now you can also shoot portraits using the phone at 1x, 2x and 3x levels. At every single zoom range, I was immediately gravitating towards the iQOO's photos, mainly because the depth mapping is done more believably without feeling artificial. Edge cutout on the other hand is however good on both, except for this one picture where iQOO nails this complex shot. The software algorithm has been tuned really well, where OnePlus falters. And finally, in low light shots, the iQOO 12 clearly beats the OnePlus 12 by miles. For some odd reason, the OnePlus 12 is very conservative with night mode tuning. It opens up the shutter for a very little time and iQOO keeps it open for longer. It's more confident in the processing. So it ends up, bringing in more light and bringing out more details as well. Now switching to the ultrawide, I noticed that the iQOO 12's ultrawide captures more details than the OnePlus 12. But where the OnePlus 12 beats the iQOO is in ensuring that the colors captured by the ultrawide are at least close to the primary. iQOO generally messes up the color science consistency, and this is something that I mentioned in my previous videos as well. Now the 3x periscope camera on both the phones performs admirably, but zoom in further, whether it is 6x or 10x, iQOO just beats the OnePlus handily. I mean, iQOO's long-range zoom performance has been so good this year, I can't believe how they're doing it for this price. And one area where iQOO just decimates the OnePlus is in low-light tele performance. Just look at the 3x comparison, you can tell for yourself. By the way, both the phones also use the periscope camera to shoot macro pictures, but iQOO does it better and you can see it for yourself. Both at 3x and 6x, iQOO's pictures look better than OnePlus's does. Now finally, OnePlus pulls back a clear win with the selfie performance. You get a higher resolution selfie camera, therefore OnePlus pulls in more details, and the attached lens is also wider, so you can fit in more people as well. Also, the skin tones captured by OnePlus are better than the iQOO. Now against the light, however, iQOO seems to be better because it doesn't have the same bloom issue that OnePlus does, and the HDR is slightly more natural. Now in the night with night mode on, both are pretty decent with selfies, but they do add artificial sharpness. Overall though, I would pick OnePlus for selfie performance, that's for sure. Now both the phones can also shoot 4K 60 FPS videos, but OnePlus does it better with better sound recording, higher bitrate video recording, so you get more details, and slightly better HDR too. Alright, so now we're shooting a 4K 60 FPS video using the primary camera on the OnePlus 12 and the iQOO 12 at the moment. Do let us know what you guys think of the image quality, the image stabilization as I walk around slightly. In fact, if you want even better HDR performance, you have the option to shoot Dolby Vision videos with OnePlus 12, albeit at 4K 30 FPS, but still that option to have is nice. In low light, iQOO does capture more light in the videos, but with the loss of frame rates with the auto low light option. So I actually prefer OnePlus here because you don't have to make that compromise. You can also shoot 4K 60 FPS videos using ultrawide on both the phones. OnePlus is clearly better here. Same is true for 4K 60 FPS videos using the telephoto. OnePlus performs better than the iQOO. Now with the upgraded 32MP selfie camera, OnePlus 12 can now do 4K 30 FPS videos with the selfie camera, which of course gives it an upper hand over the iQOO 12 once again. Alright, so one advantage on the OnePlus is that with the selfie camera you can actually shoot 4K 30 FPS videos, which you cannot on iQOO 12. The iQOO 12 can only record at 1080p 30 FPS. This is what the video quality looks like. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. OnePlus 12's camera performance, especially for selfie and video performance, is definitely much better than the Chinese variant that I tested. And it beats the iQOO 12 also in both these aspects. But if you look at the iQOO 12, the telephoto, the ultrawide and the low light performance is superior compared to the OnePlus 12. Now, of course, it's a toss-up between the two on which one you would pick for camera performance depending on the modes that you generally use. But if you ask me, I have a soft spot for phones that do good telephoto pictures, and that's why I would pick the iQOO 12. Alright, finally, compared to the OnePlus 11, the OnePlus 12's price has gone up. The OnePlus 11 started at 56,999, but that was for the 8 128GB variant. And of course, the 12 256GB variant was more expensive. But even for that 12 256GB variant, the OnePlus 12 is more expensive at 64,999. For that increase in price, you do get more valuable upgrades, so much so that it almost feels like a pro flagship now. So thankfully, that rumored 69,999 pricing didn't come true, and 64,999 is the actual price. So at least we can breathe a sigh of relief. Now, without further getting into the pricing debates, there are two kinds of people that I see who will consider the OnePlus 12 and compare it against the competition. The first set will probably compare OnePlus phones to Samsung phones, because both these brands have the same brand value and brand affinity amongst people, if you ask me, which is kind of high compared to other brands, of course. People trust and buy OnePlus and Samsung phones, and when you compare a OnePlus 12 to a Samsung Galaxy S24 or an S24 Plus, OnePlus definitely has and offers better value without making too many compromises. And the second set of people will compare the OnePlus 12 to the iQOO 12. Now, these are the tech heads who want the cutting edge, bleeding edge technology at the best possible price. And iQOO has definitely played that pricing coup in 2024. Now, I want to address that second set of buyer or audience. If you are in that category and if you're a gamer, then definitely the iQOO 12 is the phone to pick. But the OnePlus 12 is more for the masses, the ones that want better battery life, the ones that want a better software experience. They will probably gravitate towards the OnePlus 12. Now, which bracket do you fall under is something that you have to decide for yourself. And I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. That will also give me an idea of what our audience generally prefers. While you do that for me, I'll start working on the next video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.